Welcome to another ABS online video. Let's go and find out what we're going to learn today. It's another super lesson and it's wet week 11. What is it all about this week? Can you remember? Another disaster? We have been looking at natural disasters for a few weeks now. Yes, just one more. This is the last time we're going to look at natural disasters. Do you remember what it is? There's a clue right at the top. It's wet week 11. It's wet. Well, that's something to do with water. I guess it must be something to do with rain. I got it. Floods. Now, I think if you've ever experienced a flood, it's just really not nice. It just makes everything so dirty. It's terrible. That's right. What is a flood? Well, can you tell me? What would you say if someone asked you what is a flood? Here we've got another adverb. They're going to be important again this week. We've got a few more. Here's the first one. Abnormally. Before we read that sentence, let's think about the word abnormally. In the middle there, we've got the word normal. That's something that happens all the time. So, abnormal means not normal. It's like very unusual. So here, we've got the sentence abnormally large amounts of water in the wrong place. Now, it's okay if there's an abnormally large amount of water in a lake or in the sea. But if it's just in the wrong place, on the land, in the streets, well, that's a flood. Shall we say that word again? Just the adverb. You say it after me. Abnormally. Abnormally. It's a great word. I've really enjoyed these adverbs. So, too much water. Perfect answer. That's a flood. Here's another interesting question. How does that water get into the wrong place? Well, like I said, if there's a lot of water in a lake, that's okay. It's a lake. It should have a lot of water. But how does the water get into the wrong place? Too much rain. Torrential rain. Whoa, what does that mean? Torrential rain. Well, that's when it just rains and rains and rains for a long time and it's really, really heavy rain. A lot of rain in a short amount of time. That is often the reason. So, torrential rain. That's quite important. It's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. There are other reasons. Broken riverbanks. Sometimes the sides of the rivers are built up to desperately try to prevent flooding. So the side of the river is called the river bank. And all rivers have river banks because the height of the river every year goes up and it goes down. So over many years, thousands of years, rivers build their own natural river banks. And this allows the river to go up and down. But when they are broken, oh dear, this is when the water can come out of the river. If the water rises above them just a little, vast areas of land are underwater. So the river banks are very important. They make sure the water stays in the river. But if the river gets too high, the water will come over the river bank. And then the water will just go everywhere. And this can happen very quickly. One day you could look at a river and it looks full. And then the riverbank breaks. And where does the water go? Well, of course, the water flows out. It floods huge areas of land. Storm surges. Right, okay, that's a great name. Shall we say that? Storm surges. Okay, so these start out at sea. And these can be bad. Most really big storms start out at sea. We sort of said that when we were looking at the natural disaster that are hurricanes and typhoons. Most of those storms and big winds start out at sea. So, what are storm surges? Storms out at sea can push huge amounts of water rapidly onto the land. There's another adverb. Rapid. Rapidly. Rapid means very quick. Rapidly is just another word for quickly. So we know that these storms do move quickly because they're very, very strong winds. And these winds push huge amounts of water rapidly onto the land. This is bad. This is very bad. This puts salt water onto the land. This is really bad for crops. So all the really nice food that we grow, it grows in nice clean soil. If you put lots of salt onto that soil, well, that food is just going to die. Low land near the coast is most vulnerable. It's quite a big risk to grow food very close to the sea. But we have to grow it somewhere, don't we? But if we get salt onto the soil, the crops will be very badly affected. Sometimes for years. Flash floods. Ooh, wow. Okay. Here's another very good name. I'm going to say that one again. Flash floods. Ooh, wow. Sounds like a really evil superhero, doesn't it? These can be terrible and abruptly appear without notice. We've got another adverb there, haven't we? Abrupt. That means something that happens very suddenly. And like we said, without notice. They happen where there is a lot of rain upriver and it rushes downriver. So, if there's a lot of rain far up, high in the mountains, that's upriver. And of course, all of that water comes downriver. They can happen in places that have not even had rain. Wow! So let's think about that. There's lots and lots of rain far away, high up in the mountain. And then that rain fills the river and it comes down the mountain very quickly, and the flood can happen very far away at the bottom of the mountain, where maybe it's a nice sunny day. That must be quite a big shock. Tsunami. Wow, now this is a very, very special and thankfully rare kind of flood. I am sure we have all heard of these. The effect is generally the same as a storm surge, but often worse. Look at that picture there. It looks as if the whole sea is coming into the town. There's no way that anyone could stop that. These are caused by underwater earthquakes, so thankfully quite rare. Do you remember how earthquakes are caused? Well, it's when the big giant earth plates move. Now these happen on land, But of course, they happen all over the world. So many earthquakes happen deep under the ocean. Again, most earthquakes are very small, so they won't make big waves. But some earthquakes are big, but thankfully quite rare. Where? Okay, we've asked this about all of our natural disasters. All low-lying land, all over the world. Even a desert, surprisingly, can suffer from flooding. We always think that a desert is dry. But even deserts can have rainstorms. And if there's very suddenly a lot of extra water, well, that will cause a flood. Of course, some areas are more at risk. Wide, slow-moving rivers and coastal areas. These areas are more at risk. So the very, very wide, slow rivers, usually they have lower riverbanks because they're moving slower and the height of the river doesn't go up and down quite as much. So they've got lower river banks. And the coastal areas, because of those storm surges and the very rare tsunamis. They are now more frequent. And that sounds bad. Why? Well, can you guess? I remember many, many, many years ago when I was a small boy. We would not hear about floods very often. Maybe one big flood every 3 or 4 years. But now they seem to happen almost every year. And it's our fault. Oh dear. Yeah, it's you. It's me. How can we be making floods? Right. Deforestation is taking away trees that hold a lot of water. Consequently, more water runs away. So let's think about that. Deforestation. So we're taking away trees. We're cutting down a lot of trees for many different reasons. But those trees have really great roots. These roots hold the soil. These roots hold lots of water. And if they are not there, it just means that more rain, when it hits the land, will just run down the hills into the rivers, making the rivers more full, making a bigger problem. Oh dear, right, okay, here's another big problem. Urbanisation is unnaturally changing the path of some waterways. Whew, that's a very difficult sentence. Urban means city. Urbanization is when we build bigger cities. Unnatural. Well, un means no. Unnatural means not natural. And that last word, waterways, that just means rivers. So we're changing where the rivers go. Nature doesn't like that. Nature will try and fight that. And sometimes nature wins. What damage is caused? Water in your house is pretty bad. Look at that picture. That's just sad. What is much worse is when drains disgustingly overflows. This puts raw sewage into the streets and houses. Do you know what sewage is? Sewage is the water from your toilet. Can you imagine cleaning up after that? Look at those houses. Can you imagine if all of that water was water from your toilet? And then when the water goes away, you've got to try and clean your house. You've got to try and sleep there and eat there. Oh, that's just bad. Water is heavy. 1 litre of water weighs 1 kilogram. Now you look at 1 litre bottle of water. That's a very small amount of water, isn't it? It takes up just a little space. Now look at the river. Can you guess how many litres of water is there? Well, that means there's a lot of kilograms of water. If your car weighs 1,000 kilograms and it's hit by 10,000 kilograms of water, what is going to happen? And 10,000 kilograms of water actually is not very much. In this picture here, we've probably got many millions of litres of water. So many millions of kilograms of water. What's going to happen? Bigger floods can wash away houses and leave areas unrecognisably flattened. What a great word. Some of our adverbs today are very long, but we can cut them up. Let's look at this one. Recognise. That means you know what something looks like. Un means no. So if something is unrecognisably flattened, it means that the whole area is destroyed. You look at it and you think, wow, what did that look like before? Water can flow quickly. Water is heavy and can move swiftly. There is no way a person can fight against it. You can easily be swept away. Then, floating debris in the water hits you. Your chances of survival are low. Debris is just rubbish. So, can you imagine you're in the water and a part of a car hits you? You can't stand up. You can't run out of the way. Something hits you and you go under the water. That's bad. What about after the flood? Right. Bacteria vigorously thrive in dirty water. After a flood, diseases like cholera and typhoid can kill more people than the initial flood. Dear. So, the water goes away, but now we have lots of disease. Famine. Land can become unsuitable for crops. This is especially true if polluted by seawater. I said before, if there's salt on the soil, plants won't grow. Famine is when people do not have enough food. Thankfully, we now have support systems in place, but victims still need to be generously helped. So there are lots of people all over the country that will come and help. This is great. It would be better if we did not need to help, but that would only happen if there were no floods. And we can't beat nature. How bad can they be? The worst flood ever is thought to have happened in China in 1931. Reports are vague, but the lowest estimated death toll was 500,000. Now that is the size of a small city. So if you can imagine every person in a small city killed by the flood. When disease is considered, some think the number of deaths could have been as high as 4 million. That is a really big city. 4 million people killed by the one flood. What can we do? Well, with other natural disasters, we couldn't really do very much at all. Water is the most powerful element on Earth. What can we do? Not much. Earlier, we spoke about deforestation. We can obviously reduce this effect by just planting trees. In many places in the world, there are really big tree planting programs that plant millions of trees every year. But we've got to do more. Urbanisation. Well, we can't stop that, so what can we do? There are some things. There certainly are. We can build floodways as sturdily as possible. These are like canals that try to divert excess water away from main rivers. Sturdy means strong. And these canals just take a little bit of the water away from the river and sort of spread the water out. They sort of spread the water out so that it's not all in one place. It just means we have a lot more riverbanks. We can't do much. Honestly, that is the answer. We can't do much to avoid any of the natural disasters. Science is developing better prediction techniques, so we vainly hope they will help. I think that word you should look up. Go and find out what it means. It's another great adverb. What disasters have we looked at? Flood, that was today. What about before? Hurricane. Volcano. There's room for one more there. What was it? Earthquake. They're all bad, and let's be honest, we can't do anything to stop them. Okay, get ready for something new. No more disasters. A happier topic? Let's hope so. Well, not really. Oh dear. Oh well. Guys, that was another super week. See you all very soon. Bye. Thank you for watching our video today. Please don't forget, subscribe, and that will help us to make lots more videos for you. Thank you. Bye.